Hi, welcome to my channel, The Little Green Car. It's been quite a while since I've made a video, and that has to do with a nautical term called the doldrums. Now, a lot of you may not be familiar with that term, but the doldrums is an area around the equator in the southern part of the Atlantic Ocean where the winds blow in different directions, the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. And so it creates an area 5 degrees south and 5 degrees north of the Atlantic where there just may not be any wind, and that affected the sailing ships and days of sail before they had, propulsion system that could keep them going, like an internal combustion engine. They were just dependent on sail. If there were no winds, they just drifted aimlessly. And so I've been suffering from the doldrums. I was going to make videos about my little green car last spring, and it turned out that it had a lot of electrical issues. And it was in and out of the shop from about April and May and June and July and into August. Finally, about middle of August, got it all fixed. Well, at that point, I had to go in the hospital and have a total knee replacement on my right knee. Now, that was something that I had known about since, I was 80 last summer, so ever since I was 67, so 13 years, I knew that I needed a new knee. And when I retired from truck driving the first time at age 67, I really couldn't walk. I had to use a walker to get around. And the doctor says, well, you need a new knee. It's bone on bone. And my response was that, well, if it's all the same to you, I just as soon go out with all the parts I came in with. And I said, is there something you can do? And he said, well, yeah, we can give you cortisone shots, as often as you need them. He said, your knee's shot, not going to do any more damage, and it's already been done. Well, so that's the way I went on for the next 13 years. And it finally got to the point where, I couldn't depend on it. If I was walking, I felt like it was going to give out, and cortisone shots weren't doing any good. So I had, like I say, a total knee replacement on my right knee. Well, there was another 6 weeks where I couldn't drive. And it was longer than that. To try to get in and out of that little MG and bend my leg enough that I could, get in and out of it with my right knee. It was, let's see, that was in August, so September. It was, latter part of October, and winter's coming on in Montana. And so I really didn't get to drive it. I drove it a little bit last fall, but, just not very much at all. But fortunately, it's running real well last fall. And we had a cold snap here in Montana, and, a couple of weeks ago, it was 25 below, 30 below, without the wind chill, which is, snow on the ground. And I don't drive that car in the wintertime when it's snowy and stuff, because I don't want to risk getting it hurt, and I don't want any salt to get on it. They put salt on in the wintertime on the roads, and I didn't want that because I don't have any rust in that car. And so hopefully by the spring, I'll be able to drive that car. I can physically get in and out of it and drive it and not have any problems. But, it was just, I just kind of got down the dumps, and I just didn't feel like making any videos. I was upset about my car not working, and about the fact that I needed to have a knee surgery, and I was quite honestly was pretty apprehensive about having that procedure done. That's a pretty invasive surgery to have, and so I was kind of bummed out about that. And I'd had what they call atrial fibrillation for several years, but it was not something that was a major issue for me because I could never tell when I was an AFib or not. Well, after I got over my knee surgery, all of a sudden now I could tell when my heart was beating irregularly, and I would just feel like crap, when I went to AFib. Well, the doctor decided that, you're in AFib often enough now. I wound up in the hospital overnight, and we need to do an ablation on you. Well, here's another procedure they had it done, October 8th. I don't know why I'm sharing all this personal health issues with you, but if you're my age, you know what I'm dealing with. I mean, I guess we all get to that point where, you know, our bodies start to fall apart. And anyway, so I had to go in the hospital and I had an ablation done, and I'm hopeful that that's successful. I won't know for it's about 3 months after you have it done whether if that's gonna be successful or not. I hope that it is. I don't like going into AFib because I just don't feel right when my heart beats irregularly. But so far so good. So we'll see what happens there. But anyhow, those are things that just went on in my life in this past year that I just been in the doldrums. Just haven't felt like been motivated to move on and make models and make a video. I mean, I think it's kind of fun to make these videos, and I don't know if people watch them or not. I'd like to think that I could reach an audience of people my age that are going through the things to do when they retire. You can some people like to go fishing, or they like to tie flies, or they like to paint, or they like to make models. There's just the list is endless of things that men or women can do once they retire, once they quit doing whatever it was they did for a living. Maybe they were doctors or nurses, or they were worked in a grocery store, or they were a truck driver like I was for 41 years. I mean, there's just the list that goes on and on and on. I mean, about things that people did and that they no longer do, and so they don't have a purpose, in life. I mean, it's kind of a shame to say that your purpose in life is to go to work and make somebody else a living, which is what you're doing. I mean, whatever job you work at or whatever you do, you're making the company that you work for, you make them profitable if you're doing a good job. And they don't really share that profitability, I don't think, enough with their employers, or employees rather. They pay us just as little as they can get away with. And if you have a lot of good employees, the people that own the company, or that whatever organization you work for, you make them a lot of money. And if you don't, they'll just send you packing down the road. Well, it's a sad, commentary on the way things work, but that's the way it is. And so we are, we identify with whatever it is. Whether you're an electrician, or a plumber. I think those guys, they can work forever because you always need a plumber. You need an electrician. You need a carpenter. There are things, and I wish I had those skills because, there's all kinds of stuff I could be doing, fixing people's broken pipes. We had some pipes break just, right around Christmas time. At 25, 30 below zero, it froze some water pipes in my house. I've lived in this house since 1976 and never had that happen before. And it happened this year, and it was just, fortunately we found a damn good plumber, and he got it fixed. It came over Christmas Eve morning and fixed that for us, and I was more than grateful to him. And we gave him a very nice tip for coming that early, quickly and doing the job for us. But yeah, and a guy like that's good plumber, he'll always work. He'll always have stuff to do. Or if you're a refrigeration specialist, the grocery store we shopped their freezer went down. And if you're handy with refrigeration, you'll always have work because every grocery store in town has refrigeration that needs to be kept up, and they run those units until they fall apart. And so if you're handy, if you're a good at fixing a refrigeration unit, you'll always have work. Or if you're a cabinet maker or a carpenter, my God, you always have work. I mean, I could still work. I'm 80 years old. I could drive truck if I wanted to, but 41 years is long enough. I just don't want to do it anymore, especially with the new rules and regulations. And I could go on and on about that. If I could drive under the old rules, the way things used to be back in the mid 70s when I started driving truck, well, I'd jump at driving truck again in a heartbeat. I love driving truck. but I don't like the new regulations and stuff that they impose on truck drivers. I think there's, don't make any sense whatsoever. And that'd be a topic for a whole other video. I mean, I could go on and on for hours about, you know, about the way things are in the trucking industry now and compared to what it used to be. And you used to be able to get a lot of stuff done driving truck. Well, you can't anymore. They shut you down. They tell you can't drive but so many hours and I'll probably make a video about that. But anyway, that's why I haven't posted a video here. I've been rambling on now for quite a while, over 10 minutes. Time passes, but anyway, I'm going to try to get back to making a video about, just, it'll just be chatter, basically. I mean, I'll show you some models that I make and leather work that I can do. I mean, I can do leather work, tool leather. I like to make models of trucks and cars and boats, and I'll do some of that and show you some of that as I go along. And I might just do a video and just talk about dogs and cats and, traveling down on the road, because it's what I did for 41 years. It's what I know. But everybody has stories that they could share with, like-minded people. Like maybe you're a nurse, or maybe you're an accountant. It doesn't matter what it is. There's things that happened in your life while you were working that other people might find kind of fun to listen to, and stories that you have. I know my daughter, she's an RN, and listen to her talk about some of the, stories that she had when she was working in long-term care, when she first started nursing, and some of the old people that they did some pretty funny things. And I mean, I laughed so hard my face hurts. And so I'm sure there are lots of nurses that could share tales like that would be kind of humorous for people to listen to. Or, you're a car salesman. There's got to be stories that you could tell about people that come in and want to buy a car, and some of the things that they have to deal with. Every profession has things that happen that are just humorous, and people might like to listen to them, like to hear that. And so I encourage people to, if they make a video about it, or make a video for your family. Maybe it's not one that you want to publish, but for your kids, maybe the things that you did growing up that your kids or grandkids, would like to hear. Because before, when I was growing up, there was no video like there is now, where you can record and tell your grandkids about how it was when you were growing up. If you don't get a chance to see, maybe your kids have grown, moved far away, and your grandkids don't live in the same town. So you don't have an opportunity to share some of the life stories that you had growing up that they would probably enjoy listening to. And so I think it's important to, make a record of the things that you did growing up. That would be something else that you could do that would be fun for your family to have, your kids or your grandkids. I would love to, know more about my grandparents and my grandmother and my mom's parents. They raised me when I was little, and my mom hated her dad, and I thought he was the greatest thing that ever lived. I mean, I love that, and he was a hard man, a real hard man, but he and I got along really good, and I'm a lot like him, and that was a big bone of contention between my mom and I. She just couldn't stand him, and she has a son that looked just like her dad, and has a lot of his attitudes. Well, it's because he raised me when I was little, but I would like to know, what it was in his childhood. There's no way I can find out now, but if at the time he could have made a video about his childhood, about what made him be the way he was. Why did my mother hate him so bad? And why, and I know that was a problem that I had with my mom, but there's stories like that in every family. If we could listen to our grandparents, listen to our parents, and they could tell us stories about their childhood, well, it would be fascinating to listen to. I think those are things that people can share with their, make a video about it, and your kids, your grandkids can look at that thing, and they, hear you talk about what it was like when you grew up. What did you do? I grew up in Norway. I didn't grow up in this country, so my attitudes are, different than, say, other people's, because of the way I was raised, where I grew up. And we all have that. I mean, whether people grow up in Texas or in Montana or in Washington or in Maine, wherever it was, you know, what is it in your upbringing that made you the way you are? And I think that's something that we can do and make a video about and tell our kids. And you don't remember everything that you want to tell them, so you make a series of videos. You don't have to publish them. You can just give them to your kids because they'd like to know. Not a doubt in my mind that there's, hundreds of kids out there or people out there that would like to know the family history. Have a narration that they can look at and say, "Oh, I didn't know that about grandfather or great grandfather. I had no idea." Well, now we have the ability to make a video. And you can sit there and listen to your grandfather or great grandfather talk about and reminisce about what it was like when he was growing up. So I've decided that, my little green car channel hasn't died in spite of what people might think, but it's there, and I will make every effort to try to put out a video every week, or maybe it'll be every couple of weeks, or maybe every 3-4 days. Whenever I feel like I have something I can contribute, then I will make a video and a little story about whatever it happens to be. Maybe it's fishing in Norway, or I went to private school in Connecticut. Maybe it'd be a story about that, or driving truck. I worked in a meat packing plant. Maybe it'll be a story about that. Some of the characters I worked with in a packing house. I worked there for almost 11 years. And I've had some phenomenal people there that I just really, really enjoyed working with. So, there's just all kinds of stories. I married a girl in college. I'm still married to her. We've been married for 58 years. I love her dearly. But we're from totally different backgrounds, different parts of the planet. And it worked out for us. It was against my parents' wishes and against her parents' wishes. But we made it work. I'm not one bit sorry that I married her. It's the best thing I ever did. So we all have stories to tell. Everybody that you see, whether they're successful or downtrodden or whatever, what is it in their background that made them who they are? And I think it's very important to share that with your family and make a little video about what it is that makes you tick. Anyway, that's enough for my ramblings for the day. I appreciate you stopping by, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button and a like if you like it. And if you don't, well, just share that with me too. What I can do to make it better. But anyhow, I'm glad that I'm back on the air again, and I will continue to be here. You have a great day.